that's not how it happened. That's not what really took place. And they're like, no, this is what took place. So it kind of skews your mind of, is everything I've ever read about Batman been a lie? Has that not really
Yeah.
what's been happening?
Well, basically, he's hooked to the big dark multiverse battery thing, and Barbados is apparently talking to him inside of his head and has put him in, uh, given him some false reality where he's a grandfather and has grandchildren, and his granddaughter wants him to read a story of his days as Batman. And as they're going through the story, she keeps telling him that's not how it happened, trying to confuse his memory of how things were. And then being Batman, he's fighting that throughout. And until the point he fights it throughout till Barbados actually gets pissed and breaks through and kind of shows him what's going on. And Batman actually begs for mercy in it, which is pretty unlike Batman too.
It's surreal because you really see him broken. It is like one of the like the only other time you really saw him broken was when Bane is when Bane broke
Yeah,
him.
physically broken, but I haven't seen him
Broken.
mentally broken, I don't think.
The closest you came was when Damien died.
Yeah,
The
when he was
closest you came.
dissecting Frankenstein, he got
Yeah.
pretty crazy.
Well, and you can also argue maybe a little bit when Jason died because he went kind of violent when Jason died, just beating the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, that's true. He's
But
gone through his bouts. They've referenced that recently too. I mean, they've referenced his recent, like he's had problems in the past with.
but as far as just being completely like broken down to his like core.
Yeah, really fucking with Batman's head. And one of my favorite things is Barbados shows him all the different timelines of all the different Batman adventures and everything, and he tells him this is all you, and it's been about you since the beginning of time, and it's all culminated to this one event, and then the big reveal, I think, is when the Bat, and Barbados says, I am the Bat."
Yeah.
That he is the Bat that came through the window that inspired him to put on the cowl and become Batman. So it came full circle to Batman's complete origin, which was amazing to me.
And that's really like holy shit. I mean, he's like, I made your story. I'm the one who made you what you
Yeah.
were.
That's the one thing I think Spider-Man. Spider-Man. No, I was gonna say that's the one thing I think Snyder has over Tom King. Is connecting the loose ends of old Batman lore to the modern story of Batman. Because he seems to do really well at being able to take even the most ridiculous villains and making them kind of cool and kind of creepy. And because he's a horror writer, so I mean
Yeah.
this is like a Batman horror story, all of Metal so far, and it fits the character, but I mean. I think it's great how kind of dark this story is, and how Snyder is kind of, well, I mean, he wrote this. This was with Josh Williamson and
Tinian.
Tinian. Yeah, they all three wrote this one. So I mean, I thought it was brilliant how they connected all these tendrils of old Batman lore, and there's even a part the girl brings him the story and says, "I want to read the Chemical Syndicate," or whatever it is, and he said, "Wouldn't you rather hear about the Long Halloween?"
Yeah.
And they mentioned other writers' stories and stuff, and he said it's all. He's like, and he even says, it may seem like it doesn't fit, like it doesn't make sense, but it all happened. I swear, it's all true about all the stuff that he's done throughout his life as Batman. And I thought, man, it's just brilliant how. That book, it's such a mindfuck too. The book is a trip and a half. It's all in Bruce Wayne's head, and it's crazy shit. And it connects like all these old storylines and kind of brings them all to this one Batman.
And the fact that he not only says that I came to you, I came to each and every one of these other Batmen, and look at them. He shows Bruce the vision of the Justice League fighting the Dark Knights in there, and he's like, I am behind all of it, and that's just so creepy that that every single bit of Bruce's existence is like been because of this one. Any Bruce across all the multiverses is because of this one entity.
Yeah, and
Bruce gives up. He gives up at the end.
Yeah, it was a really well. That's this is Snyder, but I mean it's kind of this is another weird. It seems to me in the last 6 years, I'd say, with Snyder and Capullo taking over Batman, and then they're going on to Metal, and with Tom King, I think Batman's gone through more significant changes in maybe the last 5-6 years than he had for like 20 years before that. Like so many significant things have been added to Batman's lore in just the last 5 or 6 years. That,
I mean, and not only Batman, but the villain, his rogues gallery. I mean, the
Joker, all the stuff with Joker is crazy.
More stuff added with Catwoman and Bane. The stuff added with Bane. You know, even the Riddler with Year One. All the stuff that Snyder put in with Riddler. I mean, fleshing out these characters so much in the last couple years, and Batman really, with Snyder writing horror, I mean, Batman should be that kind of horror book. It should, there should be the detective aspect to it, but it should be that suspenseful, like a movie like Seven or something like that.
Well, I agree. I think he's not necessarily on the level of Spawn, like a monster like Spawn, but I mean, he is supposed to be an urban legend. He is supposed to be a shadowy thing that people don't really know.
Yeah.
And they don't really know if he's real or not, and they don't really know if he's human or not. And I think that's kind of what Snyder kind of brings to him a little bit. It makes him more of a, especially so far, like this story is just dark, man. Like the dark nights are just will kick your ass.
Yeah.
They're not playing around.
I mean, Batman to me was always, like you said, he's in the shadows. You don't know where he is or where he could be. He's supposed to be his whole thing is, if you're a criminal in Gotham City, you should know if you do something of the criminal nature, the Bat could be there. The Bat could be on that roof. He could be behind that corner. He could be in that shadow. And I think when Batman goes out with like the Justice League or something like that, it kind of loses a bit of that. He loses a bit of that mystique at times.
Yeah.
Because he's then, Batman in the Justice League. People know, he's just a man, where criminals should think that he is this creature of darkness that is just out there waiting for them to screw up, because he'll snatch them up as soon as they screw up.
Well, I mean, in the last, I don't know, it's been for a little while now, maybe even going back to like the Dark Knight Returns, even with Frank Miller, Batman's been kind of the one member of the Justice League that's not really a member of the Justice League. Yeah. He comes around when they need him, but most of the time he's like, fuck you. And there's even when he formed the Outsiders, Batman and the Outsiders, he's like, I don't need the Justice League, I've got a new team, and he quit the Justice League for a while.
Yeah.
So I mean, there's even he's even though Wayne Tech produces a lot of the shit they use, and I think he mainly built the satellite with Wayne Tech money, like the Watchtower. But I mean, he's an integral part of the Justice League without being around much. It seems like.
Yeah, but to me, he shouldn't be like out front like a Superman would or a Wonder Woman. They're more
like the way they portray him in Super Friends, like he's Mr. Nice Guy. It's like, oh boy, like that's not like there's the Adam West Batman is great. There's those incarnations are great, but that's not DC comic continuity Batman. That's not how he should be. He should be a lot darker.
I mean, I always loved the first part in the Keaton Batman. The first Tim Burton Batman, where the villains are on the rooftop, and you just see Batman just, come down, and it's like they don't know who he is, what he is. They're terrified, and he just goes, "I'm Batman." No explanation, just "I'm Batman."
Yeah.
And it's like, holy shit.
For me, it's the animated series from the first episode of the animated series throughout the entire run,
which is going to be on Blu-ray this next year. It's coming to Blu-ray.
Fantastic, because that shit needs to be remastered and done right.
The whole series is being remastered and done to Blu-ray.
That's going to be great. I'm getting that for sure. That to me still, Kevin Conroy and Mark Hamill as Batman and Joker, that to me is still besides the comic books, That to me is the next most definitive version of Batman that exists in the world. And even Batman Beyond and all those Warner Brothers series are just all great.
You know what one of my favorite episodes of the animated series was? It was the one where he's got this very happy life. His life is perfect, and it turns out it's all because the Mad Hatter had got him and had brought and the Mad Hatter's like, I gave you the perfect life, and you didn't want it. You wanted this life of pain and torment. I gave you utopia, and you turned it down. And Batman was just like, that's not my life. I think it was called I want to say it was called Perchance to Dream. I think it was called Perchance to Dream. Let's see. In the episode, Bruce Wayne awakes at a seemingly idyllic dream world in which his parents are still alive, and he never became Batman.
It's been a long time since I've sat down and watched all the episodes. I think they're on, some of them at least, I think are on Amazon Prime you can watch.
See, that one sticks with me because I loved Roddy McDowall as the Mad Hatter in the animated series. I loved any episode with the original Mad Hatter before they redid them when it became like, what was it? The new Batman Adventures, or the Adventures of Batman and Robin. When it was later series. But I always loved like you said, just the voice acting of the animated series. Mark Hamill, Roddy McDowall was in there. Just so many great voice actors that really brought the characters to life.
One of the things I liked about it was that animated series took Batman back to the shadows in a way, and you really got to see for the first time in anything. You never even got to see it. Super Friends, I don't recall anything except maybe the big budget. Well, they were even doing those then. That was kind of the first foray into animation for them, really, and the way he moved, the way Batman, even though it was kind of more cartoony and it wasn't like the way the comics are done, it was kind of more cartoony style. I thought the way Batman moved in the shadows, where you just see him in silhouette sometimes doing like a double backflip and kicking guys and flying around. It's like that's the first time in motion you really got to see Batman move the way Batman was supposed to move, and the way he's supposed to be with his rope and his bat ropes and his the way he moves around the city swinging.
Yeah.
And you didn't get to see that really in any of the Michael Keaton movies or the Val Kilmer or George Clooney. It was mainly a static, on the ground fighting, slugging it out with guys type Batman. But that animated series, I think, is just so definitive. Just in Batman's movement and the physics of that cartoon universe.
You know who voiced Man-Bat, Dr. Kirk Langstrom in Batman the Animated Series?
Let me see. I did know as soon as you said it, I was thinking I know who that is because I remember seeing it in the credits.
He has saggy egg boobs.
Oh, really? It's Mark Singer.
Yeah, Mark Singer.
Fantastic. I didn't realize he was still acting. He's got a movie out on it's a really low budget one, but it's got this solid movie he made just recently.
So what up? Did you read anything else, Chief, to talk about before we get out of here tonight?
Yeah, I read Action Comics, which it's the Oz Effect Part 5. And it sort of wraps up the Oz Effect, but it kind of doesn't. It's basically Jor-El, Mr. Oz / Mr. Oz, has taken. This is when he comes back with Jonathan Kent after he's shown him a holographic world of all these kids with powers that they could go live. Because he wants Clark to abandon the Earth because he says Earth isn't worthy of his abilities, and Clark gets finally has a face-off with his father, and he finds out that it's whatever is this kryptonite has embedded itself in Jor-El's DNA from the explosion, I guess, and there's something kind of controlling Jor-El to make him. It's like, I don't know if it's a poisoning his system or whatever, but something is controlling Jor-El to make him this kind of cruel taskmaster on Clark. He created all these world disasters to show Clark that the world wasn't worthy. And he come down to it where Jor-El finally breaks through this whatever malaise he's been in doing this, and finally tells Clark, hey, this isn't me, whatever. Then you kind of find out it's not